Before we start, I just want to welcome our two new councillors to this meeting. You're very welcome to contribute. You, at the moment, can't actually vote, but you can very much influence us if you actually make a good point. So you're very welcome to participate. First item on the agenda is public participation, and we don't seem to have any members of the public present, so we can move on. Do we have apologies for anybody not here?
We do. Chair, we have got apologies from Matt Harrison, which is in your papers, and also Abby said that she's got a personal commitment for you to choose. Can
we accept those? Anybody would like to propose? And Edric's second.
And just vote on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest on any items on the agenda tonight?
You're not aware in advance, you can declare at the time that it comes up.
Thank you. I see none, so we can move on to item 2.4. The minutes of the last meeting. Have they been any comments? Thank you.
I'm happy to propose them, isn't it? What went on.
Any comments from anybody on the minutes of any sort? Can we have a seconder, please? Thank you. We've got a chance. Okay, can we have a vote on that to accept the minutes? Thank you. Incidentally, Bob and Aaron, it gets more interesting.
I found the pace pretty good.
At this rate, we'll go to here in about 15 seconds, basically.
Sign now or at the end?
I'll sign at the end. Why not?
Okay.
We'll move on because Janet will get cross with me if she gets it. Did I say that out loud?
That was prior to the recording.
I want it noted. I want it noted. Officer report to the committee from the town clerk.
Okay.
Hand over to you, please.
For the most part, it's absolutely as has been reported in the papers, and I did a round robin in the staff today to make sure there hadn't been any changes since these papers were issued. The only thing that I did want to draw your attention to, if you turn over to page 8, is we've got the Market Cross pigeon deterrents. I've let you know that range of initiatives to use barbecue spikes in the hanging basket has for the most part proved effective. Occasionally they've wheedled their way around them and then we just stick extra sticks in. So that tends to be working. But we all recognise that actually there's a bigger problem with pigeons in the High Street and the Market Cross. One of the options that our project officer has explored is the optical gel. And these are little dishes of a iridescent gel that looks to the pigeons as if it's fire. So it puts them off landing where these gel dishes are. We could do a trial of that. It'll cost between £70 and £100, and we could put them on a few ledges and see if they work. But actually what we're going to need to do, and not at this meeting, we're going to need direction from councillors on long-term solutions, because a deterrent to stop the pigeons landing in one location is just going to move them to another location. So we basically need to know which direction we want to go in so that we can pull a report together for another meeting.
Thank you, Kai.
I'll ask a question in that context. Many months ago, I wrote quite a detailed proposal as to what could be done. That was put to Ellis. They said no can do. Has anything else? Has anyone else been asked, or is that off the table?
Yeah, please do.
So it's one of the things that we've identified later on when we talk about the renovations to the Market Cross. It's one of the things that I've asked if you want us to have a look at whether we can implement any measures at the same time as doing those repairs. My one biggest concern is that not only is it a listed building which we knew about, it's also a scheduled ancient monument. So we need to be exceptionally careful and seek permissions from not only Somerset Council but also Historic England before we do anything. Doesn't mean we can't do anything, just means there's more steps to do.
On that note, basically, given the fact that it is a listed building, it seems to me that it would need as much protection from pigeon poo as possible. And therefore, in a sense, surely there must be precedents in other listed buildings that they are protected properly, because frankly, I would prefer the pigeons to be pooing elsewhere, not on the Market Cross. And the other thing about the Market Cross is it's also right beside the food vendors for the market, both at the Sunday market and our Friday market. and it's a health hazard, and therefore, in a sense, there's a double whammy there. I cannot believe we're still actually going round in circles on this, to be perfectly honest. But the fact is, we are, and I think we need to get either someone from the bodies that, I know there's more than one, that protect ancient monuments, and actually ask them exactly how they actually stop pigeon poo eating into the structure of the sandstone structure. Kai.
In my description, I already took into consideration the fact that it's a listed building, because of course I was aware of that, and therefore suggested that we glue the wooden structures with a non-invasive glue onto these ledges. So, that has been taken care of. Really, the next step is, as you were saying, to take it to the listing people and to monument people, etc., and say, is that a doable option? Because I, quite frankly, did not find Ellis's in any sense satisfactory, because they just didn't want to do the job, was my impression. I agree.
Can I just make one more comment
Oh,
on
please.
this one? The other concern that we have got, as you will be aware from the report from the cenotaph, the more that we clean stone, the more porous it becomes and the more degraded it becomes. So my nervousness is that if we continue to clean the market cross at the rate that is desired, we're actually causing greater damage than potentially even the pigeon poo remaining in there or on there. So at the moment, and I'm correct, Adam, the proposal is that we do a fairly soft brush to try and remove as much as that we can without damage to the stone and without creating any ingress into that stonework. But my concern is that in the past we have had volunteers within the community just go out and do it themselves, and that causes issues not only in terms of the stone but also in terms of liability.
Hi.
The cobbles that are on the floor of the market cross are basalt cobbles and are absolutely hard and washable. I mean, we have a pressure washer, I just hasten to add again, and therefore are not degraded by washing. Dolting stone, of course, would be degraded, but once we have measures against pigeons on there, they don't roost on there anymore. Any further pigeon nest is not going to come down the Dolting stone anymore. And the whole idea about doing something up there is so it doesn't land down there. But, as one can see from the report, they were talking about infill, cement infill between those cobbles being loose and some of those cobbles being trip hazards. The one thing that is definitely not a problem with those cobbles, because
the washability,
is that they are quite washable.
Yeah.
And that's the floor, and the floor is the main thing, because that's where people sit in cafe context.
Okay. Any other contributions? I mean, it's obviously, thank you. Jan.
Yeah, it was just in relation to the planting plan, which I'm pleased to see is sort of on the list of updates and actions from previous meetings. So that's obviously been there from November last year. I'm aware, Claire, that it had been missed off the agenda since Tara left. We've obviously had multiple staffing, so it's just making sure that Adam's aware that it's now going to land on his plate. But just to I mean, I don't know how much Adam is aware of it, but obviously you'll be able to brief him that obviously sort of this summer we've had quite a lot of members of the public complain about the fact that the planting plan wasn't fully implemented, and we've had issues, but I'm aware that there are staff now who are at least keeping the things tidy, even if they're not planting. So hopefully, Adam, you're going to be on that, because I'm pretty sure if we're not, we'll get more letters of complaint coming in. So great to see that that's on there. But I would hope, although it says in progress, I think I'd like to see more green lights on that one going forward.
On that note, I would probably actually like to have a word with you, Adam, about it, because I'd like to bring something forward to the next meeting, the Rye meeting invited. I've got some thoughts on it. So we'll consult with others and so forth. Jane.
It was just about the multi-user pathways. Gavin and I agreed tonight we'd have a discussion about this outside of this meeting because of the issue around the meadow pathway, which I've had brought to my attention twice or three times in the last few months. State of it, so I do need to get on with that.
Yeah.
And we'll be looking at that. I know it's red at the moment, and we hope to make that go a different colour soon.
Is there anything we need to do on that, basically, other than leave it to you, or what?
Leave it to us for now. We'll come back with something.
Any other thoughts?
Did you want to say update anything on the planting, or are you happy?
No, I'm happy at the minute.
If we are. Next pages.
Page 10.
Yeah, thank you. Item 2.6 work experience report on West Shepton. And is it to note? But I'd be interested in people's comments as well on it, please.
Some direction would be great. The report started as a decision item, but due to the extent of what the report requests, we have done it as a give us some direction instead. Or maybe you could pick up one item from it, for example, cleaning or repainting the current seating at 2.6.5A. That might be one option.
There are a number of. I have some observations. Some of them are from Matt as well, because I've spoken to him. Right? And he's also sent some material in. Having said that, and I'll just say it very quickly. Matt points out that it's quite important that Matt should contribute, because Matt was at the centre of the of raising the finances to refresh the skate park. It is not advisable to light the park at night. The police would be against it, and it would be unlikely we can get that through. There are reasons for that. Some of them is to do with the police have experience of elsewhere where basically it then becomes a place where drugs are used. But it's an observation. Matt was involved in the past in getting a graffiti artist workshop together, and it sort of fell through the cracks. He's more than happy to actually reactivate that, and I certainly would give it my support. I think that in some ways that may be the first response to the paper, basically to, in a sense, encourage us to go ahead with that. I think it's a really good idea. And the other thing is that some of these things that are being suggested would come into our orbit if we actually manage to get control of the West Shepton playing fields and rename them Shepton Allotments Sports Park. Very determined about the rename, but thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say really how constructive I thought it was to have an input from a younger person.
Agreed.
There were some quite interesting ideas, I think, that we perhaps wouldn't have come up with ourselves. So really just to thank her for that. But I think it's already been said, and I think we've already discussed actually before the meeting. Obviously, this is something that we want to get back for Shepton. And I think quite a number of those things, including the toilets. The toilet offering is a very important thing, but obviously it's not within our gift at the moment, but it certainly could be in the future, and it's something we very much need to look at and find the funding for.
Funny enough, I was in Warminster Park, and in fact I sent some pictures of Warminster Park to some of the councillors, but there were simple toilets, like box toilets there. And I don't mean the plastic ones. I mean, permanent metal ones. And actually, I thought they would be a really good solution for the park. I mean, they were. And I've got pictures of them that I can show. But,
Edric next.
Yeah, Edric.
Thank you very much. I've been getting quality graffiti done with the help of the current what we usually use it, so they take ownership of it. So maybe they come for designer, these professional graffiti artists, and maybe every 5 or 6 years it gets redone as they grow up and move away and buy cars. And the next group of 10 to 14-year-olds put their stamp on it. As far as toilets go, I used some good quality composting toilets on my campsite a couple of weeks ago. They didn't smell. They were brilliant. We were in as one sort of rural, as you can imagine, I would use basic type campsites. Brilliant. And I think, as you say, we need to turn it into a sports area for older people. As my view's been said before, I don't particularly think sports facilities in this town should always be centred around a leisure centre type thing. I think maybe they appeal to a certain demographic, but in terms of people of the younger generation, it's all about skating and outdoor stuff. So anything we can do there to offer things which are almost cheaper to provide because they're outdoors in a building, I think ought to be commended. So the sooner we can hold that facility, the better. And also, toilet-wise, apart from the ones in the park, the cycle path goes past it. So anybody needs to use the loo can pop off the cycle path literally 100 metres down the road and use the toilets. It's something to look into. I appreciate us in the future.
Thank you. John?
From my perspective, it was just a major thanks. You know, I thought it was incredibly well written. I know Claire, you obviously sort of had a look at it as well, but I just really appreciated the contribution. I think she was only with us a week.
Yes.
Yeah, so the fact that she's sort of gone through this and, you know, sort of saw some support from others and feedback, I think is great. I think what she did pick on for me is, aside from obviously the key things, that the proposals are very much the point that we've said before, is there's activities for adults, there's activities for small children, but the teen groups are always left behind. And it was exactly the same when my children were growing up in Shepton. There was nothing for them to do. Unless you're like a part of the Air Cadets or something like that, there's very little for you to do. So the more we can invest in this, I think it's better. And I think it's great to have certainly two people who are interested in youth development coming to the town council now. So I sort of just agree with the sort of the next phases of making sure we can get like the playing fields ours and we can take them forward. I think if we can do some quick wins on the cleaning of the shelters and some seating, for me they're the cheap, low cost, quick win ones.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want you know, our work experience placement to go where I think, oh, I've done nothing. So if we can at least put something out, some comms to say we've received this report, it's a great report, this is some of the things that have been suggested, this is within our gift, this is not within our gift, and maybe some quick wins, you know, a little community drive to do some cleaning of the seating areas and put some extras in or something.
Just quickly, have we got time to get anything like that done before the skate jam? I know that's 6 weeks away. Or is that too much? We can get it cleaned and painted, or maybe get a graffiti paint done as part of it. It's probably too soon, I would admit, with you sucking your teeth. I totally appreciate it. It's only just come to me, could we get it done around that or by then?
I would expect that we could get some cleaned. I expect that we would be able to remove the worst of the offensive graffiti. I wouldn't like to commit to getting anything bigger done, like an organised graffiti drive.
It's fair enough. It's fair enough. I didn't think we could.
We can, if we stepped that into two parts, I think we could.
Is there a just a thought? Is there a possibility that we could do the cover up, saying and also an announcement that we are going to do the next stage? If you take my point, in other words, it's the blank sheet of paper.
Probably coming from the same place as you, saying, why don't we at the skate jam say, look, here we have it.
Yeah.
We're going to do
Yeah.
Yeah. We need your input. Use it as a way of publicity.
Then you've got the kids that are going to be involved.
Engagement
From there.
Yeah, as you've said, I think we said the skate jam would be part of our engagement strategy anyway. I think, unless I'm reading that one.
Yeah.
But that's a great opportunity because we didn't have the gazebo up last year. I think we just want meandering around, weren't we, with our sort of, you know, high vis on. But if we can do that and do something in relation to this and get some interest, I think that would be quite good.
I mean, I'm just wondering if we could actually, I think that's a really good idea, whether we can actually have enough time to create the date to actually have the event, if that makes sense. But the date being beyond the skate jam date, with the skate jam being the time we announce it. Just a thought.
It's not impossible, but I need to look at things because it is tight. If I think there will be money in the repairs and maintenance budget to do this, but what we might do if this committee is enthused by this, and I'm just looking at the £1,000 estimate for painting and cleaning, if that does cause that maintenance budget to tip over, we've always got the option to go to full council and ask permission to formally overspend that so that we don't have to cut corners on maintenance elsewhere for the remainder of the year.
Makes sense to me. I'm gonna, Aaron, what are your thoughts when you're growing up here on the provision that you have, basically? The thing is, there's an awful lot of people, including you, who are shopping the old.
Well, I think for the most part, once you get to a certain age, Shepton does sort of stop being a place that you want to be, really. For me, that was probably just during college. So about turning 17, turning 18, you kind of just think, yeah, because you'd want to. We used to try and go to Wells, or when I went to uni, and I'd come home, it would just be like, gosh, what's that? Because I was in Falmouth, which is similar size, a bit bigger than Shepton, but it was just such a you sort of caught a glimpse of what Shepton could be.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like subsidize bars and give everyone cheap pints, but it would be good. But
Don't have an art college.
Or a mining college.
My son went to Falmouth Uni. I drunk at some of those bars.
I was at Exeter Uni, but Falmouth campus. But yeah, it does, because Wells is I think Wells suffers from the same problems. I think similar problems at least. But again, one of the things is connectivity. I mean, if you're gonna go out to drink, like if you're going to go to Wells, the buses don't run late enough.
I know.
And same with Bath and everything. It's just, it is a shame. But then there is potential. I mean, I go to a good few bars in town, and they are lovely. But I think definitely with a community space as well, because since the leisure centre closing,
Yeah.
I mean, a space for everyone would be fantastic.
Well, we will see. So leaving it here, I think we are kind of looking, if I can sum up, for a response back to say that we are able to actually, first of all, thank our writer, Layla. No, yeah, I'm trying to remember her name.
I know.
Sorry.
It's okay.
But thank Layla for actually brilliant piece of work. There's some really good thoughts in it. I think it's not unfair to actually also point out that some of the things, like including the floodlighting, the police are advising against that, and we really regret, because the idea is a good one, but we might find it to achieve. But the business of actually having a graffiti artist workshop, I think, has very much risen to the top of our agenda, and the repainting of the seating and whatever, I think is now in our work plan.
And did I gather from the discussion at the beginning that the ideas around the composting toilets and additional benches / shelters and potentially even additional play is just going to be put on the back burner until that land comes across to the town council?
Yes, I think.
Okay, so it's not a no to those.
I think the toilets, yes. On additional benches, I think it would be nice for us to at least look at it and consider cost, knowing how long it takes to get benches, get prices, given how long it took us to sort out the shelter in the park. I think the benches, we probably, if we can maybe fast track those. I do see the point about additional seating, because if you've got a group of people taking one and a group of people taking other, there's nowhere to sit. So maybe that one could be in advance of us potentially, because it could be who knows when we're going to get the land, when we're going to get the land.
Yeah.
The reason the shelter in the park took so long was because we went back and forth a lot with a bespoke design, and then we were seeking funding to top up the cost. If you are willing to go for bespoke catalogue shelters and benches, it's probably a 4-week lead time, maybe an 8-week lead time. So we can do that more quickly. The only thing I would then caveat is that we can only put those in the skate park area, because the rest isn't ours.
Okay, fair point.
I mean, I think the point is that I think it's a less sensitive area in terms of what we can actually put in the park. Obviously it was always going to be contentious what we put in. Some people hate the shelter. I don't, but that's by the way. I think the other thing is that Energize Wellbeing has been asking me maybe 3 times. I mean, it's a woman called Maddie, who runs it in just out of time, is offering she wants to actually contribute something to, well, she said Collett Park, but it could actually be converted to the Shepton playing fields, and it could actually be a bench that she would be willing to
just a bench.
And given but given the fact that she's in the right area of work to do with well-being and health, etc., I can pass this on.
One more point to add, sorry. Land transfer. So we're sort of skirting around this because I'm concerned we're going to divert the energies at the meeting, but the conversations are happening with gusto now, with the anticipation of transfer being complete by the end of March 2026.
So I ask
sooner than you might think.
One question: Are we in that? And I'm slightly confused because I don't know. I know they want to actually get rid of all the little bits, but are we basically negotiating to get the bigger bits with them, i.e. West Shepton playing fields?
Completely and utterly.
And
Yes.
Has there ever been any conversation about it being separated, or is it being kept?
Those
One lump?
No, those conversations. So very briefly, we can put in our wish list. The more balanced that wish list is, the more likely that it will be successful. If we just want West Shepton and nothing else, they might and ah about it. So I would say Lorna is working on this, and she's got the names of those that are on the devolution working parties. So that conversation is happening.
And I do know about that, but I mean, it's important that it should stay.
At the risk of going off on a tangent, I'm happy to take this outside the room. So West Shepton playing fields, does that include us taking over the football club and we get the least money off them? And as Godfrey know, the area of land in front, which we were pushing for the development from Live West, which seems to have stalled and nothing's to happen there, even though I've asked about that. So is it the whole site, including the football club and the area of land which mended, which Godfrey know where his portfolio holder, where we were looking at building social housing, which seems to have died a death, or at least gone very quiet?
We are aware of that situation, and those questions are being asked, and we haven't had an answer. But we are fully aware of that situation.
Thank you.
Kai, I've got a comment to make.
Is there a counter wish list from Somerset that what they want us to buy? I mean, you know, when you were saying we need a balance, is there, I mean, there probably are lots of little things that they want to shut off so that we have the responsibility.
The short answer is everything that's green or has something green on it that's currently in public ownership. So any green little parcels of land that you see anywhere in the town that aren't somebody's back garden is on the list. And also the trees in Garston Street are currently on the list. But that to me is a big red flag concern, because trees are a liability, as beautiful as they are. And if we are taking on all of the green space plus any asset that happens to be on it, whether that's play equipment or trees or shrubs, but they're keeping the car park but want us to look after the trees, to me that would be a non-negotiable. Cemetery is also on the list, and I am aware that previous conversations have been you don't want it. I haven't closed that conversation off yet, but
doesn't it depend really on the financial kind of what we get financially back, basically? Because if we've got to, I mean, I think your question is very appropriate, Edric. I was heavily involved in the actual process of actually designing what could actually go on to complete West Shepton, the streetscape with effectively low cost housing, and frankly, if we actually gain the whole site, I would then strongly argue that we should be thinking about developing that under the town council's umbrella. I mean, the point is, if they give us, I think what I'm really trying to say is, if they give us responsibilities which we think are unfair, there are counter moves back, i.e. that we get that strip and that we basically think of developing it. I mean, it seems to me to be a slam dunk. It's there for development. It doesn't actually impact on the green space.
Probably one that we explore further, because we've gone quite far off scope of what this.
Oh, I know, we know, but it's so important. I think we all agree, basically. No, I agree. It's fine. Is there any other comments on this? Bob? Oh, sorry, Bob. Yes, good.
Garfield, I wonder if I might just go back for a moment to the youth and Shepton Mother Town, and something that Aaron said. One of the things we haven't got are during the day, during school terms, we haven't got any sixth formers. And practically every other town, Castlecarry is Ansted Academy, but every other town, you know, whether it's Midsomerset, whether it's Norton, St. John, whatever, they've all got sixth forms of some sort. We haven't. And so we haven't got a sort of a sixth form culture in the town. Our kids go to the Blue School, or they go to Saxey's, or they go to Strode College, or wherever but we haven't got that kind of culture in the town. And it's just something for the future. Don't know. I mentioned before, nobody was in the slightest bit interested. I mentioned it to the head about 25 years ago of the Whitson School, but there was no way that Whitson, but other schools that were 11 to 16 schools, St. Gregory's, this side of Bath, was an 11 to 16, and the sixth formers used to go to all sorts of other places, including St. Brendan's and Brislington, but they decided they would take sixth formers into there, and so did the other one over the other side of North Bristol, an 11 to 16 school, also decided there. St. Gregory's in Bath, and the other one, St. Bede's in Bristol. They reintroduced their sixth form. I don't know whether at any time there's any possibility in any way of getting that back on an agenda of Whiston School looking to educate sixth formers.
I agree it would be a healthy thing to do, but I mean, obviously we can't actually pull the strings in Whiston. We've had a difficult relationship with the school in recent times, and we're hoping to get a better relationship. So, I mean, we've got, there's a history there of it being difficult. But I think that the principle is one that I think we would all fully welcome, actually, if we could swing it, we'd love that happen. But we
My
need
understanding from the last head, so not
Sorry,
the-
forgive me, Gavin, I will take you in a minute.
Very quickly, because we've gone way off piece here.
Yeah,
But I think it's important just to clarify to some of what you've said. So, Whetstone School is obviously going through huge change at the moment. I'm the point of contact with the council, and if you want to do the second one, I'm sure that would be very healthy, because it sounds like you're hugely experienced and have no dearth of knowledge. So we can take that up outside of this meeting.
I agree. Jan,
I'll leave it because it's 7:30 and we can move on to market.
no problem, and your wine is.
Is your wine at optimum temperature?
7:31.
That's all.
Well, no, I mean, I wouldn't mind a proposal to move ahead with just the painting and cleaning.
Yes,
If that's good, thank
I'm
you.
happy to propose that.
Thank you.
I'm sort of already setting you.
Yeah, Hans, marvellous. Thank you.
Are we able to propose that we do explore or does that come back to another meeting, explore the possibility of having a?
I have
graffiti-
noted that to
So-
keep that on, yes, I've
That's fine.
got that to come back.
Perfect, thank you very much. 2.7 Market Cross report. I'm going to throw it open to the floor, but I have one observation, and that is that basically we have to, whatever it takes, the Market Cross needs to be looked after. That's some.
My comment would be, I'm really surprised Will Dunston's not here to speak. So I know Will speaks passionately about the Market Cross. Has been highly critical of the things this council have done, rightly and wrongly, in all honesty, over many years. And I think we need to spend whatever we need to spend. Means getting outside grants or help as a listed scheduled monument. I think we might actually please Will for a change, which is right, because it's been one of the things he's been passionate about. I know as a former councillor and as a member of the public. So it'd be nice. It needs looking at properly, and whatever it takes to get it into good order, and to make sure the repairs are done to Shepton standard, state of the roof, etc. Be my comments.
The shambles is another case in point, because the shambles isn't the original structure. We know that,
Move all over
but
the business.
it's the immovable structure. On the other hand, it nods to our history, and in the same way, I think we should be looking after it too. I don't really mind if it was completely rebuilt with brand new wood, as has been done before. But anyway, Guy.
Yeah, I've made this point about the shambles before. I think the shambles, with a view to us wanting to intensify our market activities, is in the wrong place.
Yeah,
It was put there in 1975 at the time that the town centre redevelopment was done.
Yeah.
And things have changed massively. We don't have the planter anymore. We don't have the wall in front of the amulet anymore. And I would very much hope we could discuss repositioning it. I would definitely want to repair it, but I would want to reposition it somewhere so it's less intrusive in the middle of the marketplace. When you have no stalls there, fine, have it there. But we are wanting to make the market much more lively. We want more exhibitors there. We want to go downtown street, etc. But that right in the centre is in the way.
You'd like to know, I did fight for it to be moved and lost.
I
have in the past.
Where did you want to move it? Where would you be?
It literally, you just cannot put a marquee in that space, and there should be space for a marquee.
Yeah, well, we must have a successful suggestion, of course, where to put
where
it.
to put it, exactly. Yeah, we can.
But I think that needs.
Because in the past, although he's no longer a member of this body, John Parham suggested actually citing it in Collett Park.
Yes, I remember that.
It was one of John's suggestions.
Yeah.
Just to say, as we've got onto the shambles, I noticed that Lorna suggested that there were economies by putting these two together, even though they're very different projects. And I just wondered what those economies were. I don't know, Claire, if you can speak to that, because from my perspective, both need doing. They're very different beasts. The Market Cross is only grade 2, so therefore you can do repairs.
It's grade 2 star, isn't it?
No, the Market Cross. The Market Cross is grade 2 star. The shambles are grade 2. So for that, if you're just going for repairs, then we can do that. but the Market Cross, being a grade 2-star list building, is a very different kettle of fish, and we need to get a lot more things dotted and crossed, etc., etc.
And it's also the time to deal with the pigeon poo. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, a lot of Janet.
I would agree with Jane that, and I think the sense of urgency here is on the Market Cross.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree your points about the shambles. I actually quite like it personally where it is. I think it's quite neat, but yes, I appreciate it has implications for market, but actually it's the Market Cross because I mean, I didn't read the report in depth. It was like a 50-odd page report, but I did skim read it. And I tell you what, it frightened the pants off me, actually, reading that report.
I agree.
So this is something we've got to tackle right now. And actually, I was a little surprised that we hadn't approved the draft project of it before. I don't know quite how we missed that one. So that's sort of something that's gone awry. So I think we need to get that approved, get it going. But I would agree with Jane because I have a feeling if we add the shambles to it, it will muddy the waters a little bit. I think let's sort out Market Cross and then we'll deal with that as and when.
Apart from the danger of the shambles, because at the moment,
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It rocks, doesn't it?
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite movable.
I would like to say, in the context of the Market Cross, we've had experts' opinions and experts' reports and expert repairs on it before, and they turned out a short while later not to be experts. So I think we need to be quite careful this time that we get it right, because the last restoration of those pinnacles is, as far as I'm aware, less than 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, something like that. And
I got a bad feeling it's more recent.
yeah,
I think
okay.
it's about living memory. I've already been on the
I'm not quite sure when it was. It's in my living memory since I've lived here. And if those things fail in less than 20 years, then something was definitely done wrongly. And that needs to be avoided this time, because we will spend a lot of money according to this report, but we've got to get it right.
And before the winter.
I'd rather, to be honest, have this done properly and find the right finance for it and do it next year or whenever it's possible, and have what we've done at the moment, which is secure the dangerous bits. Because one more winter is, now that the loose bits are off, it's not going to all of a sudden make the rest fall apart, but do the job when it's going to be done properly. Because if it's not, I know this, the report has to always point out the biggest potential possible danger.
Well,
but
got frightened by it.
yeah, but I think, I mean, this is security speak, and they need to back themselves. What they did, and I think they did very rightly and correctly, is take all the loose bits off, take the danger away, make it safe for the moment. And now that half the pinnacles are off there, all the loose bits are off, they're not going to fall on someone's head now just because it's winter. But rather than rushing the job, I'd really want, get it right, get the stone right, get the way the stone is oriented, the way it comes out of the quarry right, because I think that was the problem last time. They took old stone that had been lying around in their compound for years and had weathered there already and just carved something out of it. It's still Dolting stone. The only thing is, on the church it lasts 400 years, and on our Market Cross it lasts less than 20 because they used the stone the wrong way around.
Well, I've been a councillor for 15 years, and I can tell you it was done during the time I was on the council.
Really? Right, okay.
So it's
So I think we must
So, I
avoid.
mean, that means it's what a waste of effort.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Do we have to? It's an oral recommendation. Do you want to?
So, okay, so you've got a few. So the first recommendation is to receive the Market Cross report and draft project mandate and agree urgent steps. So it sounds like that's a tick on that one. You've received that.
That says before winter. So best by my Kai's sort of, and I'm deferring to Kai's expertise here. When we say, because that's what I thought. I thought, oh gosh, we've got to get cracking before winter. But obviously that's not your view. So I'm wondering, do we need to just amend that part of the recommendation then?
We can absolutely amend that to enable, if I say work, I mean the project work, not necessarily the physical restoration work. Project work to start immediately.
Well, in that case, can I will now, as you said, suggested earlier, declare an interest, because in my family I have stone sculptors. My son-in-law is a stone sculptor who's just done work at Admiralty Arch in London, so he certainly knows a lot. He knows the firm. Sadly, strangely, they live in the same village, and the person who did the report very well. When it comes to having quotes, therefore I'm declaring an interest, then obviously he'd be interested in quoting. He has talked to me at length about what is and might not be required in this market cost, and that's why I appear to have a little bit more background knowledge. It's not my trade, it's not my material, it's wood, but I think it's important we get it right. It's just what I want to make
Just
again.
briefly then, more for the benefit of Aaron, Bob and Adam, in terms of declarations of interest, absolutely right to raise that now, but it doesn't prevent you contributing to this debate and voting on it. If at the point where we go out to either quotes or tender and your son-in-law puts in a quote, then obviously that would be a pecuniary interest and you'd be required to leave the room. Okay, so if we amend that just to say project work to start before winter or as soon as possible. Then section B, I've recommended that we agree that the market cross may be progressed as a standalone phase, because again, I came to the same conclusion that although it seems logical to put the two together because they're both listed, when you actually look at the detail of what's required, they are substantially different, not least having to deal with the scheduled ancient monument element of the market cross. So I'm just checking, we're not doing votes at this stage.
Can I just say one thing, because the shambles is rocking a bit. Do we need to actually make a temporary, repair to that? Stop all that. Strike me as being, for health and safety reasons, a good idea.
Okay. In my judgment, I haven't looked at it very closely. It is sound at the moment, but yeah, there is a danger that people might pinch their fingers. I am known not to be quite as security minded as other people. I have seen a lot of children sitting on there having fun with it, rocking on it. It is, as far as I can tell, sound, but yes, people could pinch their fingers. That applies to bicycles, that applies to benches, that applies to all sorts of other things. I personally would give it let someone give it an inspection to see whether some bolts can be tightened, etc. I think to fix it completely, take major repairs.
I prefer us to actually think about
Our rangers could look at.
What I was going to recommend is that as part of our health and safety package with Peninsula, we get one visit per year where we can basically deploy them wherever we feel that they're needed and they can give their expert views. So I can look at the timing of that, and if that's fairly soon, which my hunch is it is, we can ask them to have a look at that. My memory of the last time, and I can't remember who it was that looked at it for me, reported back, some of the wood base is rotting and beginning to flake away. I would suggest, and I'm very similar to Kai, I'm not great on health and safety. I know the health and safety rules. I just also have more of a tendency towards if you've fallen on something, it's your fault. Which is why Adam here can get to intervene and say, Claire, for goodness sake, pull your socks up. If it's rocking, that gives a sense of it's not quite safe and people are more cautious. If it's completely robust and those dangers are slightly more hidden, it might cause further damage or risk by people misusing it. But that might be my perverse brain, and I will ask an expert.
I think that's Peninsula, give us a report back, and we should act on their recommendation. Jane?
It was only about perceptions again. It's the fact that I've had several parents about their children going, and it's their responsibility, their children, but there's a perception that it's a risk, and we need to be able to counter that if it isn't.
Okay.
Agreed. I mean, I prefer it not to rock, and I prefer us to take some remedial action for it not to rock, because it seems to me that it looks like we don't care. Frankly, that's what worries me. Bob.
Thank you. I saw a youngster there, I think about 10, 11-year-old on Friday morning, and the rocking was really rocking. It was rocking and rolling. It was moving. It was moving. I thought, God. I was with another chap from here, and he sort of distracted me from actually addressing this youngster to say, "Don't break your neck." But it looked dangerous to me.
Can I, if you know more than I, because I haven't seen that happen. Basically, I would make a recommendation that we actually do address it now. I mean, I'm sorry, we can't let something like this continue. If you rock back, something will snap.
We need someone to fall off.
Exactly. I think we should deal with it urgently. frankly. And I mean, it's,
Given that we're now talking about it, we have awareness.
we
of
have
it.
awareness, and
Which
that's
is why I was just about to say, we are aware, it's a bit like
Yeah.
if you've done a tree safety report and
Yeah.
things are okay, then,
Yeah.
and then a tree branch falls down a month later, you're not liable because you checked it was safe at the time.
Yeah. If
If you know about the problem and haven't addressed it, you are liable. So I
Yeah.
think the very fact we are discussing this, we are liable, we need to sort it out.
According
sorry,
to-
forgive me,
Also do-
Gavin next.
Just very quickly, would it be an idea just to get the rangers just to have a very quick look at it?
Yes.
To see if there's any impacts with it, with them, just to address the rocking, not to affect any real repairs, but just to address the rocking.
It's exactly what I'm suggesting, even if it actually looked like it was actually a temporary repair, saying subject, we could even put signage on it saying this is a temporary repair, subject to a review of basically the structure. Is that what you're going to say, Janet? Or
Yeah, and it's just also to add about, yeah, just some signage or something just to stop people from jumping on it, because at least then if we put something up.
Yeah.
And people still do it, our liability is protected.
Although, as most of us do, I hate the stuff. If we find it is dangerous, find we have to put a blooming horrible Harris fence around it while we do
Oh,
something.
God.
I know it's disgusting, and if you leave it there for any longer than necessary, they go, "What the heck are they doing about it?" Because it shows the problem. But if it is deemed dangerous, do we need to fence it off? Just putting a sign up isn't going to stop a child from playing on it. That's the thing. Although everybody's wincing, it's horrible stuff.
I'm not
They-
suggesting that we just put a sign. I'm suggesting we actually do a temporary repair so that the thing is stable.
Can I suggest then that we get Peninsula and or the Rangers to look at it and take remedial action within delegated authority?
Yes.
If that report comes back and says, goodness me, no, there's a bigger issue to deal with, I have emergency powers under delegation, and we can bring it back. But my expectation is we should be able to do something on the back of some expert advice rather than
Yeah.
supposing and
Yeah.
second guessing.
Happy to, well, are we happy to propose that? If anybody wants to propose and second it, please.
I just wanted to move to point C,
That's
if I
fine.
could,
Keep going.
Chair,
And
beg
then
your
we've got a
pardon.
lot to go.
Then delegate to me to implement works associated with project activity using the Market Cross charity funds up to the Ray Committee's financial limits of 10,000.
Yeah.
Included in that could be the project mandate, and we just remove the shambles element of that. And if you do want to go down the project mandate route, then I would be looking for 3 councillors to be involved in that, or you can just delegate it to the officers. And this is the Market Cross now we're talking about for point C.
I prefer the version of councillors being involved because I think it spreads the responsibility a bit more. And also maybe widens the different angles from which it could be looked at a bit more.
Would you be willing to serve in that, Kai? I think it'd be very helpful if you were. I think you've got a lot to give it. Although you're not on the committee at the president, would either of our 2 new councillors like to actually be involved? No pressure, but I'm just.
Would it be an idea to explain what the project board actually is?
Yes, Claire, you can.
Absolutely.
It's quite new to us.
So the project board is effectively a working group that provides the guidance within whatever the committee has delegated. So in this instance, the committee would set the scope, which might be, as we put in the papers, of spend up to £10,000 and get done what needs to be done, along with the guidance from Historic England and the Somerset Council for listed buildings. Then the project board with an officer would carry out the detailed work of putting that project together and going out and getting tenders, because an individual councillor doesn't have any authority to act on behalf of the council, but officers do, provided it's been delegated. So you would work with officers to basically take this project forward.
Does that put you off?
It's fun.
I'm not volunteering. I'm on enough project boards. We can also involve members of the public in the project boards, can't we?
Yes,
So
experts as well.
there's potentially one member of the community that might be interested in said board.
You have somebody-
Would you like me to approach the said person if you think I will? I mean,
I mean, he's raised it many times with me as
He's
well.
raised it very times. He's passionate is the polite way of putting it about it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Well, if it
I have had many discussions with him, and I find the
tone.
tone somewhat difficult, if I'm honest.
I think having served on the council with him, I would, given the fact we're not mentioning your name, lovely person, and his passion is great, but it could actually make it more complicated. That's what I'm simply saying.
Yeah, I understand that point of view as well.
Given that we need speed, you'd have to set out a request for a member of the public to join the project board. I mean, I just wonder whether it's better to just get it cracking in-house.
Don't disagree. Bob, would you be happy to do that? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. Two. And we have a third person listening.
Too many as well.
Well, we have a few other councillors.
We have other councillors as well. I mean, that's a good start, isn't it?
I'll put something in the bulletin for the
That would be
third.
great. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. I think it's genuinely interesting, actually, to be honest. I mean, we're talking about what is basically the symbol of the town, etc. Yes, Claire. You're
So
still going through your list?
No, that was the list. So I was just going to summarise what the notes we've made so far so that we can move it to a proposal. We've received the market cost condition report and the draft project mandate. We agree urgent steps are required to enable project work to start immediately. We agreed to take the market cross as a standalone phase separately from the shambles, but that we are going to get a health and safety assessment carried out but on the shambles, either in-house or by Peninsula, and put in remedial work under delegation, unless it seems extreme, and then I'll bring it back to you. And finally, to delegate to me the authority to implement the works using the market cost charity funds up to a value of £10,000 in conjunction with the project board, which currently consists of Kai, Bob and another that I will send out an email for. Has that satisfied?
For me, yeah. Proposer, please. Fine. And seconded by Jane. Can we have a vote, please? Thank you very much. Thank you for that. That was very helpful. It's nice to know that we actually really care about what is basically a wonderful structure. And I think that the repair in the past and the way that it was looking soon after the repair was a bloody disgrace, frankly. But allotment report, events officer, but we have that events officer. You've become the standard events officer.
I'll do a half-hearted attempt at being the wonderful Becky.
Yeah.
The allotments report comes to you every year at this time for you to consider the cost of the plots, because we need to give 1 year's notice to plot holders if the price is going to go up, and the price and contracts renew every September. So what you're looking at now would be to implement the change this time next year, ready for September 2026 payments. So it's both price and also whether you're happy with how the size of allotments are graded, as opposed to whether or not you want to do something like a price per square metre. The other thing to think about is the allotment awards. Historically, we have had allotment awards where somebody has been nominated as a judge and gone and looked at all of the allotments and awarded, and then those awards have been either presented at full council, but I hasten to add that in the last 3.5 years, nobody has come to those awards, and instead, when they have happened, those that have won may or may not come into the office to collect their certificates. Sometimes they haven't even bothered to do that. We have had no indication from the allotment community as to whether this is something that they would like. So it's completely over to you. What do you want to do about pricing and what do you want to do about awards?
Jane, then Edric.
Two things. I was one of the judges a couple of years running on those allotments. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It took me quite a few hours, and it is a judgment. I personally think we should stop them. I really do. Unless there's a movement from people who have the allotments, fine. So that'd be my first point. The second point about measuring these allotments. I think if you start going down the lines of per square metre. My goodness, that's a lot of work. Plus the fact somebody's only got to move the edge of their, they let it go a little bit and there's a grass growing into the allotment. Does that change the size of it and how much they pay? And how are you going to check
Squabbles.
Let's scrap that.
Yeah.
Let's keep it general into 3 brackets.
Can I make one suggestion? Further investigations to allotment holders following allotment association. I mean, the fact is, I've been to allotments in Glastonbury, which are, very exciting in the way they think they might. There's an allotment association there, and they decide whether they have chickens or they don't have chickens in there themselves. And all I simply say is that I would say that we are prepared to support an awards, but actually only when the basic allotment association is formed. Because I think they've got to come to the table and do something themselves. And I think that, holding their hand the way we have done, and the fact that we have had the awards and there hasn't been much interest in those, all I'd simply saying is we would only actually consider awards in future if an allotment association is formed. I think they can take control of their own kind of an area. I don't see it's up to us to basically ourselves.
And Paula did a piece of work on this when I chaired the council about 4 or 5 years ago, and they didn't want to form an allotment
That's true. I remember.
She did a huge amount of work over a period of time when we set when I managed to get the with you in March, I managed to drastically raise the fees because we were. I know we're not supposed to make money on them, but they should be cost neutral. Then we did a massive piece of work. They weren't interested. Yeah. I would, as Jane says, scrap the awards. From what I've heard from my wife, which was they don't work in Wales either. Nobody turns up. So we're not the only parish council with disinterested allotment holders.
We don't have to work. Jane, and then Janet. And then Gavin.
Thank you. Actually, my piece of interest was actually about the plot holders whose allotments need attention. I'm just wondering, given there were so many people on the waiting list, how do you, out of interest, how do you deal with people who are serial abusers of their allotment, given that there's a long waiting list? Does somebody go out and inspect and cut them off?
Yeah. So we do approximately 6 inspections per year, and those that are found to be in poor state are written to initially and given a deadline by which they need to have shown that they've made improvements, and then we will inspect again. So there is quite a sequence of letters and visits. And we have actually had a situation recently where we have been on the brink. Well, we have actually issued a termination letter because it hasn't been tended properly, only to have. It's always a sob story, and there's always a reason, because people want allotments, and there's always a very good reason, sometimes extended further than is realistic. So this person has been given very strict requirements of, by this date, this patch must be tended, by this date, that piece of weed covering must be cleared, and if those conditions are met, we will review it in another year, and if those conditions are not met, then the plot comes back to us to relet. So it's robust.
And my second question was also just on the pricing structure, because I know we discussed it last year, and I think last year we did increase the prices, but it wasn't substantial. I have no feel for whether those prices feel right. I have no idea what the going rate is on allotments, and I don't know where I'd find that information out. But Claire, you probably have a better view of it than us. Do they feel like the right prices, or should we go up in line with inflation, which of course goes up and down all the time? But I don't know whether that feels right or not.
Those are broadly in line with what I've seen in other places and what Shaftesbury used to charge. The variations tend to be whether the site has good parking, whether the site has any facilities like a communal compost heap, sometimes, bowsers, etc. So there are subtle differences which could change the plot, and also demand. So although you've correctly said, sorry, I can't remember who correctly said, that you aren't supposed to profit from allotments, it is absolutely okay to make an income from allotments that goes towards their upkeep and improvement.
Yeah.
And there is a significant amount of officer time only on those plots that are not well tended.
Yes. Gavin.
I would be very enthusiastic towards just looking at into the feasibility again, or maybe pushing it further, of an allotment association. I think last time we were almost there, and I think COVID actually got in the way, if I'm correct. I think there is a lot of interest, and the fact that we've got a waiting list now of 30 potential new allotment holders. I think there are some ideas potentially that could be in the mix going forward. There's an area of land between the Millennium Way and the current allotment area, and if we were to get that back, which is on our list, we could then perhaps look at extending our allotment portfolio. But I think an allotment association, we shouldn't be getting involved in it. The office shouldn't be getting involved in the minutiae of saying whether these weeds are acceptable or those aren't. That to me is an allotment association.
Self-policed.
I agree.
And
I agree.
we need, if we need to put some time, effort, and some money into fostering a few relationships and getting a few people enthused, interested. I don't know the formula for an allotment association, but maybe now with our operations manager, I don't know.
Or Laura, with maybe actually being able to provide, there may be some way of actually finding some little pot of money to help them along with that, if that makes sense. So it's I'm just only making a suggestion. She might have some thoughts on that.
Can I just ask then, to take it forward, what is the objective of the council? What is your driver for moving it to an association? Is it income? Is it reduction of officer time? Is it something else?
So from my point of view, and I think when we discussed it before, it's about community involvement, isn't it? They're your allotments. You tell us what you want, but you need to do that as a body. Most other towns, because we looked at it before, have allotment associations, and they're strong, vibrant, positive groups.
I agree with Gavin. I think it frees up officer time. I remember the amount of hours Paula used to put in at certain times. It was an immense amount of officer time to gain nothing for us as a body of people. And like I say, I think they should be cost neutral. Yes, if we make £1,000, then it could go back to them, or £500, it can go back to improve the water supply or the pipeline, like we tried to do around various other sites. One of the sites, two sites, yes, they should almost, like you say, police themselves with their own committee. So,
sorry, I'll take Jane next, and then Gavin.
Just completely agree, because I think they need to take ownership responsibility, because I think otherwise it becomes a child being told off.
Absolutely.
The council, the big parent, and that's a bad relationship to have. This has got to change.
Are we looking for a proposal then?
Yes.
Can I just get a tiny bit more clarity? Yes. Sorry, just because I'm trying to understand what level of involvement the council has. Is it completely hands off? We take an annual rent and then everything is over to them, including the water bills, including the maintenance of the land that's in between each of the individual plots?
How do other allotment associations work?
Both ways. There'll be some where the allotment association just runs the letting and managing of the individual plots, but the landowner manages the trees, the grass pathways, the water, the bills. There'll be other associations where they pay an annual rent to have use of that acre of land, and everything that happens within that acre is the association.
I think it would need to be a soft launch then. I think initially it's just an association to what goes on in allotments to talk about how they wanted to run. They ought to perhaps set up a committee structure. We're still going to be doing the management of it, I would have thought initially, but as that potentially was to grow, well, then they could take on more of the responsibility. Other towns do it. We looked at Wells before. We looked at Castle Carey. There is a mix, but I would have said initially it's about maybe the tagline is freezing the rents as they are, but on the basis that we set up a basic allotment association.
That they set up.
They set up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, put the ball into their court and say, look, your rents are frozen.
And I think before, obviously, COVID got in the way, but I think at that stage we were prepared to find some money. I think it was a couple of £1,000 to get that ball rolling.
Just a detail, we've got 3 different areas of allotments. Are we talking about one association for the whole of these allotments, or are we thinking for each area? Because I can see ownership being of your area that you know and your neighbours' allotment. Whereas if it's a committee over all of these different areas, I wonder if that would be as easy to initiate.
My instinct it should be having held an allotment in the past. I had to run out of time on it. I did look after it in the city. That is just for the record. It strikes me that you're talking about 3 little allotment groups, because otherwise you end up with a kind of they got something and we didn't and things. Yes, that doesn't go far. Yeah, sorry.
Can I bring you back options? Because there are so
Yes,
many
please.
variables.
Yes, very good.
If I bring back options, but
Very good
for
idea.
now, tonight, you are deciding that you don't want to do any more price increases and you're scrapping the awards and you're scrapping the price per square metre proposal because that
Not-
keeps coming back.
Not quite. We are not increasing the price.
If
for
they have
now.
more involvement.
If an association is formed, otherwise we may well consider an increase. I mean, I think we have to carrot and stick actually. in my opinion.
When do we need, so we need this done quickly though, because if we need to work out whether we're going to do an increase soon, is this meeting or very soon,
Yeah.
ready for next year, we need some feedback now, otherwise we don't get an increase another couple of years. So we need to move as to whether if they don't form an association, take some work off the officers, then we maybe need to bump 10% on. Is that where you're going?
Well,
Ish.
yes, I absolutely have no leaning either which way in terms of the price of plots. What I'm saying is that for prices to go up, if you want them to go up on the 1st of September 2026, you need to make the decision tonight to put them up. If you don't, you can still put them up on the 1st of September 2027.
Can we, I mean, again, if that's okay, can we propose to put them up tonight? Because I think we should. We don't have to implement it, do we?
We have to write to them and let them know of the price increase.
Yeah. But at that time, we can say we are going to put them at 10%.
Yeah.
Because we've done it to legally abide with whatever we need to do for allotments, but we don't have to implement it, do we? We can say we will, but can we actually say, actually, now you've formed your allotment association, you've taken work offers, we are actually prepared to rein back on the price increase and keep it.
Give everyone a 10% discount when it comes out.
Are we allowed to do that, for instance?
God, you like to stretch my grey matter.
That's what we pay you. That's what we pay you for. No, just to say, so we cover ourselves by setting it.
You can do it because you would be legally meeting the requirement to give them 1 year's notice of the price increase.
Yes.
And then if at the point where we arrive at that
They've
increase,
set
we
their allotment.
write to each individual holder and say, by the way, we're giving you a 10% discount.
As you've done.
Yes, you can do it that way.
Okay, here's my proposal that we put here's my proposal that we put it up by £5 in each one, £35, £50 and £65, a flat £5 in each allotment. But that basically that £5 will be removed. If there's no point in making it, some fraction of a pound, basically.
No.
So 35, 50 and 65. So it's £5 in each, even if it's a big one, basically they get only £5 increase.
Almost a moment is percentages. Isn't it?
You could, or whatever, yeah.
Or the counter to that could be it goes up, but it goes up on the basis that that's to underwrite the setting up of a residence of an allotment association.
Oh, I like that.
Which is a bit more positive.
Say that again.
So put the prices up in as you've just said.
Yeah.
But we're doing that to fund the setting up of an allotment association.
What happens if they say they don't want it?
That's what we've agreed tonight potentially.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense. To answer your questions, if they say, because we have no power to force them to set up an allotment association, so if they don't, then they will continue to pay those increased rents to the town council, and that will increase the funds to the town council in terms of income on
Covers opposite
allotments.
I think that's what I'm worried about, the fact that there is a lot of officer time. So I think it's important to make sure that the costs cover officer time. So
As we've said in the past, we discussed this. Holding allotment is now by and large become preserve of hobbyists, and these people are happy to pay £7 a throw to go and do yoga or what have you. Not It's not like 80 years ago when you had an allotment to subsidise your meagre earnings. It's a hobby-based thing.
Yeah.
And paying a few quid a year towards a hobby,
No,
paying less than £1 a week in many instances
Yeah.
to have a hobby plot isn't very much.
Well, my figures are based on the fact that it's steps of £15. You know, it's 15 or 15, basically, it seems to be. So I propose that we put them up by £5 on each, so that it's 35, 50 and 65.
I'm happy to second that.
You were going to come back with some.
I will come back with
recommendations.
association proposals in the
Tagging
meeting.
on to your recommendation.
If everybody's, do we want to vote on that?
I think Garfield, did you propose? I'll second it. I seconded Garfield's proposal.
Yeah, wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
How are you doing? You keeping up?
Very, very unanimous.
We're not about,
We're
but
happy
we do disagree, but we don't fight. We still
Agree
we
respectfully.
disagree respectfully. This,
Disagree agreeably.
Yeah, we
joking apart, we've
respectfully.
not walked out of this room and come to nearly come to blows, which has happened in the past, hasn't it? Again?
Can
Aaron,
we move on to the next
yes,
item?
Aaron, I have served on a terrible council in the past.
Anyway.
This isn't it.
This isn't it.
Frank.
8:05, we're 5 minutes.
Right, okay. Yeah, okay. I'll buy you the drink for God's sake. Right, the
Policy
Collett
review.
Park and land hire policies. I will chuck this over to you, please.
Absolutely. The short version
Ready?
is, can we consolidate all of the different documents that govern Collett Park? Great. Then the second part of this is really an update on PSPOs and the bylaw about dogs in Collett Park. This is still work in progress, but I think it's moving in the right direction. So my first thing is an apology to you all, because I have always understood that a piece of legislation, when introduced, is always superseding its predecessor. The difference that applies here is that the PSPO, which I considered as superseding the bylaw, is actually two separate pieces of legislation, and therefore the bylaw, albeit stronger in its requirements, is still in force no matter what the PSPO says. This is my understanding so far. Therefore, we are still allowed to say that dogs must be kept on leads in Collett Park, and that does enable us to go to PCSOs as well, and they can make that comment. So that's a positive step forward, and I would just like to reinforce my understanding of this and just get some legal advice, maybe from the SLCC legal team, just to be absolutely sure. Because if we then proceed, as we have always done in the past, with requiring all dogs to be on leads in the park, we can put the signs up, that's easy. We've now got a ranger team that is in the park at all times that we are responsible for. If we ask that ranger team to approach people who they see with dogs off leads and ask them to put their dog on the lead, you will have some owners who will say, I'm really sorry, I didn't realise, of course, no problem, and do it straight away. And you will have some dog owners who are rather more abusive and causing a problem. When Dorset Council looked at this situation, they did exactly the same. They applied a blanket PSPO to all areas, and then they extended the training for their fixed penalty notice officers to town council, rangers, groundspeople, and enabled them to get training. The training in the first instance is how to de-escalate, and it's always educate, inform, advise, penalty. So it's basically 3 strikes, and on the 4th occasion, then they would be able to issue a penalty notice, and they were licensed to do so. Somerset doesn't operate that here, but we could still do the first 3 phases of that and get training for our rangers. But I haven't asked them yet if that's something they'd even feel comfortable doing. So I wanted to share this with you and say it's work in progress.
And can we? As the other thing is, can our other officers also have the training, in other words, from the office? Because that's the other thing. Because surely it's any employee.
Sorry, any employee, any councillor may. I was just thinking about
Councillors may. Sorry.
councillors may. Yes.
Because I raised this as a Somerset councillor with, sorry,
No, go for it.
Speaking, I'm very
Please
sorry.
do. No, you didn't. It's-
I raised this with one of my colleagues in county about Yeovil Rec, about could councillors have the ability to do. So we say we wouldn't have the ability to penalise somebody financially.
None of us do, because as far as I understand it from my thing at Dorset, you have to be trained to and have a license to issue a fixed penalty notice.
Okay.
But any of us, while we are either an acting councillor or a staff member, could enforce that
So
bylaw.
if we can't penalise anybody, there's almost no point doing it because they'll just go and disappear. Would be my view on that. So I was going to say, if we had the ability to penalise people, are we going to then ask the Rangers team to wear body cams to protect themselves? And if I was one of your boys wearing a body cam, I go, if you want to do all this work, I want a pay rise. Even blunt, wouldn't you?
Janet.
First of all, I'm glad they're going to be consolidated. Some of the language in
Yeah.
those policies is brutal.
Yes.
Invalid carriages, and I was just, oh my God, it's so long to see
Yeah.
some of the language. So brilliant that they're going to be updated.
Yeah.
And also I noticed in one of them, and it's sort of, it's oldie worldy language referring to animals. It says about cattle, sheep, gulls, and any beast. And I think in the past we've also had horses running through the park. So I think it's just bearing that in mind when we've got a new policy that it will refer specifically probably to horses, not just any beast, because I know we've had that antisocial behaviour in the past. So great news on that front. Perhaps something that might be up for debate in terms of park users and where dogs can and cannot walk. I'm just wondering, would it be possible to separate the park out so there's dogs on lead on pathways, but where we've got the open plan area at the top, that dogs would be allowed off lead up there? Because I totally think there are going to be dog owners. We see them now, dogs are off lead. But if there is a designated area where dogs are off lead, it doesn't seem so heavy-handed by the council, because we're appreciating that I take my dog off lead, but she's not in the park. So we go field walking, but I'm able to jump walls and go through different areas to do that. Some people are unable to do that because of, maybe disabilities or for whatever reason. So their only option may be to walk their dog in the park, and to allow their dog off lead, but in a safe space, may be something to consider. So I just wondered if it was something we could consider.
And my answer to this would be no, absolutely not. Ask the man who had a broken hip and a broken arm because a flipping dog flattened him at Park Road because somebody's dog was off the lead in the park. I think if dog owners do have off the lead in the park are flipping irresponsible. How do you know where the dog's pooed in that big open space where people play football and what have you? If you've got a dog, if you've got a dog, you need to be responsible, and using it in a public place where children play. Sorry, Janet, I'm ranting because it really pees me off, the attitude. I've got loose dogs running around the park some mornings, peeing on our equipment, which I have young children help to pick up and that. If you've got a dog, look after it, keep it on the blooming lead, and be responsible with it. Public ornamental park is not a place for that. Sorry.
Even people who've got dogs on lead sometimes won't pick up their poo. So I wouldn't suggest that even people who have dogs.
It's frustrating. And I'm a dog lover, by the way. It is frustrating.
And I think it'd be worth us discussing it, because I do think as a council, there will be people who will refuse. And I don't think it's fair to allow the Rangers to get in.
Point them out.
But
yeah.
Jane and then Kai. Thank you.
We had this conversation or this discussion probably 2 years
Yeah, we did.
about exactly this.
I
And
said
we,
the same thing.
and we also talked about having a field elsewhere. There was a proposal from the
Yes.
public
Oh, was that?
about having a field elsewhere
Yeah.
to allow your dogs to run, as some other places have.
Chris Inchley was actually also
Yes.
interested in that in the past as well.
And I think we came to the conclusion that it would have to be a private enterprise to do that rather than the council taking it.
Okay.
So there was this discussion, I'm pretty sure it was 2 years ago in Ray.
Yeah, you were just about to say.
I recognise Kai was going to say.
Okay.
Just because that discussion was from another work experience student who put a report
Yes, I remember
in
that.
about Barrington Place
Yes.
and suggested that area could be a dog park where the council could potentially generate revenue by people hiring the dog park for a free space for their dog to run. But I just wanted to pad out that memory.
An added comment to this is that we're not a massive urban area. We have lots and lots of fields around
We do.
everywhere. where
I agree.
people can let their dogs run free.
I agree.
And yes, some of them have walls, but not all of them. And a lot of dog walkers drive their dogs to where they walk them anyway. I do really not think the park is the only option, and I think it should be.
You don't run through
I agree. Can I just point out that just because we have some difficult customers, the fact is that, you know, we could actually deal with 90% of this. 90% of people would respond positively if reminded. I mean, you have to remember that. I mean, we can't make, we should be making rules for the best, for the better people in the society, not the ones that are being uncooperative. Yes.
This report is actually, the decision item is the consolidation of those rules and policies, which is great because that's the easy one. In terms of the bylaw, it is an extant document. So all we would actually be doing is reinstating the signs that say dogs should be on leads.
Yes.
And we can let all staff know that they have the power, if they wish to use it, to ask people to put their dogs on the leads, but never at any point should they do so if they feel uncomfortable or at risk.
Agree.
And I will get clarification on how that is left with councillors doing the same. So if I get that legal advice and come back and say you 16 also have the right to, and to be honest, actually anybody who knows that dogs must be on the lead has the right to speak to another person and say, did you know that the rules in this park are your dog needs to be on a lead? So I would say there's nothing to prevent you in law from saying that, because all you're doing is identifying that there is a bylaw that is in place.
Could we be, is there a way where basically we could, of training, because it strikes me that, you know, maybe it's optional, but it seems to me that giving people that opportunity basically, because, you know, non-violent approaches to people. I mean, I've done the non-violent direct action training for Greenpeace a couple of weeks ago, and there are ways of approaching people that
Do you want
don't
to
get.
deliver a training session for
Well, I
us?
could nearly do it basically, but who knew?
De-escalation.
Who knew that the Shell building that we attacked looks very like the Greenpeace building? But in the training.
Research de-escalation training
Any military bases?
for staff and councillors.
Oops.
Now, is there any?
No, I just need a proposal and a vote on consolidating those policies and delegating to me to do it.
Janet is proposing and Jane is seconding. Please vote.
UA,
Another
marvellous.
unanimous one. It's a boring committee, I tell you this. It's not boring. Yes. You know.
That's riveting.
Interim renovation of toilets and it's my fault this one's here. I'm going to do it very quickly. There's two schools of thought here. That is that we get on with actually doing up the toilets separately from actually doing all of our phase 2 work in the park. To replace the ramshackle mess that is actually the top of the park. I did get a note from Matt saying he felt we should hold back and do it all together. I'm frankly neutral. I wanted the discussion. We don't make a decision tonight, but just to kind of side out people's opinions. That's all. And incidentally, we're talking about either we use the existing building, probably all of it would be what I was thinking, including actually utilizing the backspace so it becomes a bigger building, but it's public facing, if that makes sense, and the inside is ripped out.
And what we
Turned into a better toilet. We upgrade the existing building and do it now, because you don't want the toilets in the same place as the cafe area. I think it could be. I think we've got the other alternative. Just to because Claire's aware of this. The other alternative is that was being suggested at the meeting that we had with Lorna, is that we put in a temporary fix and let the doors be automatically closed at a certain time of night, basically, and we just live with the toilets in the present state until we actually do a complete revision. So instead of us actually spending money on a temporary fix, the suggestion might be that we actually do a permanent fix on the toilet block, separate from the next bit. Yes. I don't know who was first, basically. You're bouncing up and down more than you're bouncing up and down more than anybody else.
Thank you. My view is I share Matt's view, actually. I'm reluctant to spend money on something that's temporary when in the long term we're going to be looking at sort of
One way round.
anyway.
Matt is proposing.
He is proposing. See, I'm go on then.
Matt is saying, Matt is slightly different from me. What Matt's saying is hold back on it and do a temporary fix. I'm proposing that we do a permanent fix and that we do the toilets up now, separate from the other.
Is there not a third one, which is can we not leave it until actually we're at that position where we can actually do full scale?
Except that means we're not doing the door fix, and we leave the toilets closing at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is really pissing people off.
Uh-huh.
So that's the problem. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I know that's bad. Yeah, Kai.
I would go for a limited fix, which is sorting out the doors, but leave it as it is, because I've heard fairly positive comments about all our toilets, including the other one in Commercial Road as well, in comparison to other places like Wells. And the one thing I would say is it'd be quite nice if that automat that we have in there also had soap in it again, because the soap dispenser, I don't know whether it doesn't work.
Commercial Road you're referring to.
Not the other one.
In the park.
I have tried to wash my hands in there maybe 5 to 10 times, and there's any soap.
I agree with you, because I forgot to mention it.
Just one of those, but actually that's just a minor fix. And other than that, because we're thinking of building there, one other thing I would like to say, I know it's slightly off topic. I think we need to generally think through our toilet policy, and one that comes to me in the context of the market, development of the market, Amulet, etc., is we need a public toilet there again. And I have already spoken to Martin Barkley in that context as well, where the public toilet, where true public toilets used to be in the building of the Amulet. There is still the possibility of one, which I think, as we are devolving anyway and taking over the toilets, we should very much be aware of and keep considering having a toilet again. And it would have to be a disabled and unisex toilet, a single cubicle that we can put in there. But I think we need to keep that in the back of our minds.
I'm glad. I think you've changed your stance on that sort of building, because at one point I think I was at Loggerheads and you wanted to pull it down. I said it's a perfectly good building.
Can I tell you, can I tell you there's a little bit of background, the conversation we had, and there will be more of a conversation about this, and I think Janet was present.
I have got something else to say, but
it was to answer the question. We really feel that that little group, but not the council yet, feels that we've gone too far down something which is too expensive, and we need to reel back. I mean, and I actually support the pulling back. I mean,
I'm glad about that, because I've always thought it's a substantial building. Yeah, the inside's a mess, but externally, I've seen a lot worse. It's not bad. It's in a good structure.
Yeah,
I'd like to see it redeveloped and not have I like gender neutral toilets. I want it to be all unisex toilets for many reasons, which maybe, if you know my family, will be obvious. But I would like to see gender neutral toilets, and I would like to see, I think maybe in the short term, do the short term fix. We need to do the redevelopment at a later date. But I'm glad we're going to keep the building. Yeah, because I'd have fought you on that one.
We haven't yet, but
I think we ought to. I'll fight anybody. I think it's a good building.
We have conversations that we can move on.
Good.
Jane.
I was just going to say, we aren't necessarily keeping the building longer term. We just happen to need to think about it in the short term because of the project. Having too many projects happening at the same time, we believe there are other reasons why we should make Collett Park the gateway, make it later on and look at the pricing and everything else. But that building for now needs to be as useful as possible and not have the park rangers having to sort of go and lock up and all the other issues. It's got a locking door.
This is
there's a limited.
Can I do some of this?
I
think the general feeling is that we could basically progress with some sort of fix in the present toilet facility, so the doors can actually lock automatically later. That would be the general thing, but I'm glad we've had the discussion. We can't make a decision tonight, and it was a general discussion, and I think it's useful to have, because we had the other debate in a smaller forum, and it's very useful to actually know the kind of mood of the room. And I mean, you get the drift that people are not happy with the toilets closing too early, and I don't blame them, frankly, and we haven't got a good toilet provision. as far as I'm concerned, I think that's,
I just wanted to add one comment, which may have been overridden now as that conversation developed, but be aware that where you're saying make more use of the rest of the space, at the moment, that space is the Rangers depot. And if we move them out of there, we've got nowhere to house their equipment or them. And the convenience for them being in the park and close to where we are is invaluable at the moment. I've managed a team where they were based on an industrial estate the other side of town. It was a challenge to manage them at that distance.
absolutely taken on board. And there were some suggestions about how we might manage the other bit.
What will happen now? This was obviously a discussion point. Is there going to be like a recommendation coming forth at another rainy?
I think that
associated budget.
the recommendation will be, I know that Lorna's looking into what the costing would be to actually provide automatic doors, and that will come to.
That's it in terms of
It
temporary.
might make it to the September meeting if it's not already full, but bear in mind that all your committee meetings in September, the primary piece of business is your budget. So you need to have that in your awareness, because you might need to be putting money in for next year, but you might not have the time to go into the detail of the project at that stage. So just you're balancing and juggling at that point.
Dare I say, part of the discussion we've had tonight may make the decision on that a very quick decision if we had a paper from to tell us what the costs would be. Basically,
It all.
Gavin.
It was just a last word from me on the toilet closing times. It seems absurd to me that we have a green flag park, a jewel in our ground. We've invested heavily in new play equipment, and we haven't yet got the toilet opening times right.
Agree. I think it's going to be addressed.
For the sake of a few £1,000s, it may well be to have an automatic system of whatever sort is necessary.
I expect you walk up there now, as is not a bad evening. There will be Portuguese community, don't they? They tend to use the park, and the Polish community. They tend to go there with their families late in the evening, have a few beers, have some food. The kids run around. I expect there's still people up there now because it's not a bad evening.
And if you think about the reality of what they're doing in the way of toileting, it's not very pleasant, is it really?
No, they've got to pay the bush.
And similar to the marketplace under the arches.
Yes.
You know,
Toilets in general. We'll have further discussions. Toilets, basically. That's welcome to the council. Thank you all for attending.
Can I just
Thank you, guys.
do an AOM
Site management.
That's the end of the meeting is ended,
Yeah,
basically.
can I just mention what
Very
we discussed
impressive.
about the locking and unlocking of the council fire park?
Let me just, you've formally closed the meeting. I'll
Formally
stop the